Donald Trump, thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
Did you watch the debate last night? The Republicans were talking about business. I was wondering, what was your take on them?
Well, it was very interesting because we saw Thompson for the first time, and actually he didn't look well to me.
He didn't.
I don't know what it was.
What is it?
You know, this is not Ronald Reagan. The guy just didn't look well, and he's not a very dynamic guy. You know, I've been hearing how dynamic, how incredible, and he certainly hasn't proven to be that thus far. Now, maybe there's something that we're just all missing, but, you know, they keep comparing him to Ronald Reagan, and I don't get it.
Do you have a favorite in the field, Republican or Democratic side?
Well, I think that Romney did very well in the debate, and I think that Rudy did very well in the debate. And Rudy's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's a very talented guy. He's a great guy, and I think it looks like it's boiling down to those two. And, you know, I can say this, Rudy was a terrific mayor, and he is going to be tough to beat, I believe.
Is Rudy a hothead?
No, and I know him very well. I mean, I know this man very well. He's very, very solid. He's a solid guy, and he'd be a great president. I think he's going to get the Republican nomination, and I think Hillary's going to get the Democratic nomination, and it's going to be an amazing contest.
So who do you support between Rudy and Hillary?
Well, I won't say that yet because they both asked me that question, you know. But I won't say that yet, but because it's not appropriate to say it yet, to be honest with you. I know who I would support, but it just wouldn't be appropriate. I will say this. Rudy has to do something on the war because anybody that supports the war, in my opinion, cannot get elected.
Would America be ready to have a Republican and Democratic battle between two New Yorkers?
I think so. Well, I think nobody's going to have a choice because I think it's going to be them. You never know what happens. Lots of crazy things happen, but I think it's going to be them. But again, the war issue has to be cleared up by the Republicans. You look at what happened even to McCain within the Republicans, where he took a more hawkish stand. He took a strong stand on the war, and he got wiped out. I think the war, if anybody is even slightly in favor of the war, I don't believe they can win the election.
Hey, Donald, it's Willie Geist.
Hi, Willie.
How are you? You
Good.
Considered running in the year 2000. The field, frankly, we've been talking about, it's a little thin. They could use a little something. Any thoughts to getting back in and giving it a run?
Well, I didn't really want to run. There was an independent party. There was a group of wild people. They wanted me to run, and they came to me and they asked me to run, and I had no interest. But it certainly got a lot of press like I was running, and I was not running. I never did. And even now, there are all sorts of websites for me to run. I guess, you know, when I make speeches and 45,000 people show up, people say maybe he should run. But, you know, honestly, with Hillary and with Rudy looking, and I think Michael Bloomberg, who's a great friend of mine and a great guy, and I think he feels the same way. You know, Rudy is somebody that endorsed him and supported him, and I don't see Michael running for that reason. And frankly, if Rudy wouldn't win, maybe Michael would do it. But as far as myself, I just love what I'm doing. We're doing a good job. I've become one of the biggest developers in the world, and on top of that, The Apprentice, as you know, has been a tremendous hit, and it just got renewed for 2 more seasons. In fact, we start shooting that in another 2 weeks.
Well,
and I'm just having a good time. And tonight on MTV, you have Pageant Place, which is something that I also own. So.
Willie and I think that is a fantastic idea. The only way it could be better is we put Mika in that room. I think we need four women in that room.
Well, Mika's equally beautiful to the Miss Universe and all of the people. She's got the beauty. I'm not sure that she would like to be in that. You have to see these people, they really, really go at it, and I don't think Mika needs that at this stage.
You've never worked with Mika.
She can hold her own, Donald.
I think she can. No, I suspect she can.
Well, Donald, if you change your mind on running for president, you have my vote. I just want to say that
I think
publicly.
That's great. Well, and you guys have my vote. I love your show. I think it's great.
Thank you. I have to ask you about your favorite subject, Donald. Rosie O'Donnell's got this new book out, Celebrity Detox, and she basically turns on Barbara Walters, the woman who gave her the job on the show.
What a surprise.
How does she justify that?
Well, I think it's terrible. Rosie had, as you know, she was thrown off television. Her ratings were terrible. She had failed in a Broadway play, and her magazine was a total disaster. I guess it was McCall's or something, and they ended up closing it up after they changed the name to Rosie. And Barbara gave her a second chance. And, you know, to be honest with you, her ratings only became good after she started the fight with me. Her ratings were just going along pretty much as they were. And then in December, we had a big fight, and I decided rather than, not saying anything, I would say something, which I think was the right thing to do. I have no regrets about that whatsoever. But that's when her ratings went up. And, so I want to take some credit. Actually, to be honest, ABC should send me a nice big fat check.
I've never quite seen the appeal. I know you haven't either, of Rosie O'Donnell. I know she has
I don't get it. I don't get it. I know her very well. She came to my wedding.
Oh, wow.
Not as my guest, as somebody else's guest, and I got extremely angry because the birthday cake was wiped out. She wiped it out.
Okay,
She is a total disaster. I mean, I know her well. I know her as well as anybody probably knows her. She's a nasty, mean woman. She's a real disaster, and she's not a very smart person, I will tell you that. And her book is, not something that most people are going to want to read.
It is a pleasure to have you on the air.
You're looking around and you're like, I thought we ordered 2 cakes. They're all gone.
Well, Donna, we'll be buying your book in any way. Think big, kick ass. Watch the MTV show tonight. And, of course, The Apprentice coming back soon. Thanks for being with us, Donna.
Thank you all very much. Keep it up. Great show.
Thank
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Donald Trump.